NBA reporters asking stupid questions, and players react. The relationship between the media and NBA players is a tricky one. Everyone tries to keep it cordial. They have to see each other nearly every day, making it in many ways like they are co-workers. What many fans don't realize is that players and beat reporters get to know each other on a pretty personal level. It is inevitable when you are interacting with one another every single day. Reporters have access to the locker room at times in order to converse more freely. There's press conferences constantly, and reporters are always working on feature pieces that delve deeper into a specific player or topic. Many times a friendship can develop. Some players can develop a certain level of trust with a specific reporter, for instance. It's the reporter they'll reach out to when they want to make an announcement like retiring or deciding to pursue free agency. Still, there's always an underlying uneasiness. The guard is never completely let down. Reporters have a job to do after all. They may sit on some bad quotes that aren't a juicy enough topic to blow up the relationship with the player. However, if the player does say something big enough, important enough of a topic, while being on record, the reporter will have to run with it. It's their job. Players know this, so the trust is never complete. Players are human and don't like when someone is looking to trick them or get them to say something controversial. This is the area we'll deal with in this video. Reporters are not always on top of their game. Sometimes they get too cheeky with a question or are flat out trying to bait a player into something that will get attention. There's an art to it. The key for a reporter is to ask in a way that player doesn't realize exactly what they are about to say. On the other hand, reporters can be too obvious too transparent. When this happens, the players see through them and tend to react strongly. No one appreciates someone trying to make them look bad at work after all. Coming up, we will tell the story of some of the worst questions ever asked to NBA players and the reactions they caused. Before we dive into them, however, please subscribe to our channel to get more great videos. Also, don't forget to comment on what questions you thought were worst, and if you feel inclined, please give this video a thumbs up. Basketball is in a natural disaster. In 2016, the city of Houston was having an historic flood for the second straight year. The Houston Rockets happened to be playing the Golden State Warriors in the NBA playoffs for the second straight year as well. This caused a Houston-based reporter working for a Chinese-based company to try and draw a weird and completely uncalled-for correlation. Draymond Green of the Warriors was the player involved, and he was not going to let it go. The reporter began by pointing out that during Game 3 in both years the Warriors won when there was no flood, but in Game 4 the flood was going on and the Rockets won both games. However, before the reporter could actually get to the point and ask the question, Green interrupted. Green sounded off on the reporter. He said the reporter had already asked him about the floods at practice, and by bringing it up again, Green felt like the reporter was trying to get some controversial statement. Green took issue with the reporter using a natural disaster that had caused grief and destruction as a vessel to try and get a player to say something that would get headlines. The incident instantly became big news, with people all over the league upset with the reporter for the same reasons Green was. The reporter was reportedly in his first year on the job, and it ended up being his last. He was fired by the Chinese company after the incident became major news. Shaq said, "What?" Shaquille O'Neal has also been a big jokester. His sense of humor is a big reason he became and remains, to this day, a very popular NBA figure. Back when he was playing, he would often demonstrate impeccable timing and wield sarcasm like a weapon. This was especially on display in press conferences. Sometimes, reporters would play right into it by asking him an oddball question. This was the case back in 2006. When Shaq was playing in the NBA Finals. A reporter posed a very odd question, and Shaq got a big laugh with his response. Shaq was asked the theoretical question of, if his mother was bit by a snake right in the chest, would he be willing to suck the venom out? The question was asked in jest. It was a tongue-in-cheek question meant to mess with a playful Shaq. Shaq's response was perfect. He told the reporter that, no, he wouldn't suck the venom out of his mother's chest, but he would for the reporter's wife. Drop the mic, Shaq. Drop the mic. Pop, an indoor meteorologist. San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich has always been known for his candor in interviews. He can be extremely thorough in his answers, but also very short, depending on the mood. He's known to make a good joke at times too. Maybe his openness is why a reporter asked such a benign question prior to Game 2 of 2014 NBA Finals. The reporter might have been looking for a funny response, or simply trying to get a reaction out of Pop. What was asked? A reporter actually asked Pop that for the reporters not around more often than during the playoffs, could he tell everyone whether the air in the building was a typical temperature? Yes, this was actually asked. During the NBA Finals, one of the coaches was essentially asked whether the air conditioning was working, whether somebody had adjusted the dial and changed the temperature. You'd think somebody who has earned a press pass would be a bit more professional. Maybe this is why Pop is abrasive at times. It's especially hilarious watching an in-game interview when he's headed in for halftime. There have been times where he just stands there and says nothing because he wants to give away nothing. Pop is surely an all-time great character. You lose, they win. Russell Westbrook can be cantankerous. He has never demonstrated the quality of patience, whether that is in regards to his incredible pace of play on the court or with reporters in their questions. Early in his career, after answering a question he didn't like, he told a reporter that he couldn't ask any more questions. Standing at his locker answering questions from a pool of reporters following a loss to the Utah Jazz, Westbrook had a funny yet serious reaction to a question that became a meme that remains popular today. The reporter asked if Westbrook's team lost the game or if the Jazz won the game. Westbrook had an honest reaction when he grimaced with a very big and exaggerated lip curl that birthed the meme. The question was dumb, and Westbrook wasn't having any of it after the loss. Following the grimace, Westbrook yelled out, "What?" in disbelief. He then said he was done and walked away from the pool of reporters. Never, ever ask a bad question to Westbrook. He has had many similar altercations in his career. He never lets it go. He holds himself to a very high professional standard on the court. Maybe he's simply doing the same with the media. The worst question LeBron has been asked. LeBron James has been the biggest attraction in the NBA for well over a decade at this point. He's been asked thousands of questions from reporters. Week in and week out, LeBron has to sit in press conferences and answer what is asked of him. With so many questions over the years, some really dumb ones have been asked. It's hard to pick the worst one with well over a dozen really egregious ones to pick from. That said, this one felt especially stupid. LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers had just been blown out of Game 2 of the 2017 NBA Finals to go down 2-0 in the series. They were about to travel home to Cleveland for the next 2 games. If they lost both games on their home court, the series would be over. Simply put, the Cavs had to win at home or they'd lose. This didn't stop a reporter from asking LeBron whether he felt his team needed to defend home court. Of course they needed to. The series would be over otherwise. LeBron didn't let go of just how dumb that question was. He asked the reporter if he was a smart guy. LeBron really rubbed it in and drove home the point of how ridiculous the question was. The two had a back and forth for a bit, with LeBron actually getting the reporter to answer his own question. That's why he is the king. Wait, what exactly did he just say? We'll finish with another LeBron question, but this time he's joined by Dwayne Wade when the pair played together for the Miami Heat. The Heat had not played well in the playoff series at the point this question was asked. The Heat had given up a lot of points on defense and not scored many on offense. Not a great combination. A reporter picked up on this but phrased the question so poorly, everyone was confused. The reporter started by saying the Heat had a great defense but were giving up 104 points per game. The reporter continued saying the team had a great offense but hadn't scored 100 points yet. That was where things ended. He was cut off because the premise of the question was so odd that no one knew exactly what was being said. How can a team giving up a lot of points have a great defense or have a great offense when they aren't scoring well? For their part, LeBron and Wade reacted to the odd phrasing with amusement after the bewilderment wore off. It could have gone worse. LeBron has abruptly ended interviews when he takes issues with a question. Maybe Wade's presence saved the reporter.